Yo, welcome to another episode of the Coach of the Controversy Podcast. I'm your host, Simply Nicholas87, and my co-host, D-Rome.
What's going on, world?
What's up, y'all? Hey, man, appreciate y'all following through. Hey, man, for all the new people out there that have subscribed to the channel, y'all go ahead and hit that subscribe button, share the content, like the video, and, you know, all those good things so we can try to get this road to 200, man. You know what I'm saying? Oh, there goes the other co-host. And my other co-host, T. Harden. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, what's good?
What's up, man? Again,
Hey,
y'all, if
man.
y'all have subscribed to the channel, y'all go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, let you know when we're going live. I put up content, man. But definitely, if y'all didn't catch Monday's episode, man, y'all definitely go back and catch the playback on that one. Had a good interview with Miss Crump. Y'all definitely go check her out on her platform. She's also on Spotify and Anchor FM, and she also is on YouTube. So y'all definitely go check her out. So what y'all fellas got going on, man?
Hey, man. Just got back in town yesterday, so I'm just still unwinding, kind of getting reacclimated to my normal sleep patterns and back to regular life, man.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. I'm getting back good now. Everything's good on my end. Had a little scare, but we good. We good in the neighborhood, baby. We good in the neighborhood.
That's great.
Too
Same
negative.
same old. Keep
Yeah,
working, coming home, staying on the grind.
there you go. That's all
Wait,
you need.
wait for
Staying
the
on the
weekend.
grind. I got something in my beard. Thank God for the cat.
I'm about to say, what's in it?
What's it?
Well, nah, ain't nothing in it. Nothing but half
I
today. Nothing but
I
half.
hear you.
Nothing but half. Oh man, I want to go over this list, man. I'm highly disgusted at how people rank the power rankings for quarterbacks. Now, I'm so highly disgusted at this. The list makes me sick in my stomach. You know, I'm gonna let
I'm
y'all look at the
listening.
list, and I'm gonna let y'all assess how this should be. I personally, in my opinion, I don't like how it's set up, but it is what it is. But take a look at this. This is the power rankings for week 2 in the NFL as far as quarterbacks.
You see that?
I have no problem with 1 through 3. That's okay. 1 through 3. 4 is very, very not right. I also think 9 is not right.
All right. It's only been one game, so it's kind of hard to assess. If you're gonna go by the one game, Roger shouldn't be on there at all. If you're gonna go by the one game,
Yeah,
we're not. Yeah, we're not talking because this is not a lifetime achievement list. This is as of week going into week two, based
2.
on week
Yeah,
one performances, who should be on the power rankings. I don't see based just on that one performance, Roger shouldn't be on there at all. That's one of the worst performances of his career, and that's what it's based on. We're not
yeah,
talking about career accolades. So a lot of these things are based on name recognition, popularity, how well you're received to the public, that type thing. Uh,
Media.
yeah,
yeah, like we've talked about this before, how the sports media drive the narrative. A lot of times it's not necessarily based on factual information, but it's based on how fun the sports media is of you. So this is a prime example of it, and it looks like it's just based on Aaron Rodgers has no business on there based on that last performance. If you're going to go by that, why is Jameis Winston not on there? So
yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what I
He
was
ought to be
saying
in the
too.
top
So
three with his performance. He should be number 4 instead of Aaron Rodgers, where they beat the Packers
yeah, especially if Aaron Rodgers had a quarterback rating of 13.
3 points.
yeah, yeah. So those things make you scratch your head sometimes, but that's
Yeah.
the that's the politics of it all.
Also, somebody else that's not on there that should actually be on there. I think they should actually be at 9 is Derek Carr. Because, I mean, he did win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see that game, so I don't really know what happened. But I know it was a competitive game to win in overtime. I know that much. So
Yeah, it was a competitive game. Compared to Lamar he had like 3 turnovers. Lamar had 3 turnovers. I think Derek had one. Uh, I know Derek threw for like 430, threw for about 430 yards. Well, we know Lamar Jackson, I think threw for like 270.
Yeah, you gotta
You know,
protect the football. You gotta
yeah,
protect. You gotta protect the football, bro. So if you can't
yeah.
protect the football, it doesn't matter what
I,
else you do.
Matt Stafford actually surprised me. I thought he'd probably be a little bit higher, but he actually had a pretty good performance against, the Bears. But he,
Well, he's
he
always put up good. He always put up good numbers. It's just usually an L comes beside it. So
yeah, this time he got a W. He got a W this time. Josh
and
Allen played okay. Justin Herbert played decent. Dak played good. I think Dak should have been like 4, or
yeah, I
but
mean, 'cause they didn't lose that game because they lost the game because of their defense.
yeah.
Their defense has been bad the last couple of years, and they used to have a very good defense like 3, 4 years ago. But
Compared to
uh,
last year, the defense is a hell of a lot better than what it was.
well, they gave up a lot of plays last Thursday, so
Yeah, they gave up a lot of plays. They did. I get that. That they
that
did.
and don't look like they have much of a pass rush. If you don't have a pass rush in the modern day NFL, just in football in general, in modern football, if you can't rush the passer, your defense is going to be in for a long season.
Yep.
I think well, hell, I think their best pass rusher out again. I think he got a broke foot from what I heard.
And last time I checked, that ain't nobody else's problem but theirs.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, he's out. Now I don't know who. He said a little better, not a hell of a lot.
I can't even right now, so even a little better. We got to. The thing about it, I mean, I understand this is part. This is just part of the normal discourse, but
You going in and out?
sorry, can you hear me now, Nick? Can you hear me?
I think Nick went out.
Yeah, I got.
Okay,
Yeah,
Okay, D-Ron, can you hear
yeah, I
me?
hear you
Okay,
now.
I'm good.
okay, cool. I know this is a part of normal discourse where we're going to compare and do rankings and stuff like that, but I think it's kind of silly and ridiculous after 1 week of football for ESPN and whatever prognosticators and gurus to come up with these lists and rankings because the sample size is so small. First of all, I always say the first 4 weeks of the season, you don't know what you're going to get because teams are sluggish. You got guys who miss camp, guys who come off
Yeah,
the pup list, that type of thing. So guys who are not necessarily in shape. So a lot of times those first 4 weeks of the season, you see a lot of sluggish football where the outcomes really are coin tosses because everyone is sluggish. And then after week 4, teams start getting to their groove, and that's when you start seeing teams separate and establish themselves as good teams. And then you see the other teams going a downward trend and establish themselves as a poor team. And then you see the mediocre teams establish themselves as mediocre teams as well. So it's kind of hard to say who's good and bad just after 1 week because we really don't know because you don't know what you have until you get a big enough sample size of it. So I take this with a grain of salt. So, and of course, I think sometimes they deliberately want to make it controversial because if it's controversial, no pun intended, when it's controversial, it gives people something to talk about. If there's no controversy, then there wouldn't even be anything for us to talk about. So, I think
that's
some of that, I think some of that is calculated. I think they want to ruffle some feathers, get the talking heads talking. It's kind of like the college football playoff committee when they come up with their oh boy Nick, the college football playoff committee when they come up with their
the
their
Alabama
first.
Invitational.
Well, I mean, Clemson's won 2 national championships in the last 4 years, so let's not get too silly. Um, when they come out, or in the last 5 years, whatever, in that time frame in the playoff era, Clemson's won 2 national championships. So let's not act like that hasn't happened. I'm gonna get on that in a second, but my point is when the committee comes up with some of their rankings sometimes, and usually the first couple of weeks, everyone's like, "What? Why did they come up with that?" I think some of that process is ego driven, and they want the center of attention on them, so they do that on purpose. Now, I know this is off topic, but I just want to, before you call that Alabama Invitational, the college football playoff was implemented in 2014. The first one, Ohio State won in 2014. In 2015, Alabama won. 2016, Clemson won. 2017, who won national championship in 2017?
Alabama.
Alabama. So that's 2 in that time. In 2018, Clemson won it
Clemson.
again. Clemson, 2019, LSU, and then 2020, Alabama. So Alabama's won 3 of those, 4 of those,
3.
3 of those, and it's been what, 8, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It's been 7 of them. So they've won 3 of them. Clemson's won 2, LSU won 1, and Ohio State's won 1. So I wouldn't call it Alabama Invitational. I'll just say that they have one up. They've won the most of those, but it's not by a dominant margin. So I wouldn't call it that. And a lot of that is reputation because the unearned reputation of the SEC when it's primarily Alabama that's the dominant program above all, and then the rest of the league ride their coattails. But we'll get into that later. Let me not get off the topic.
Okay. I didn't really see Kyler Murray play, so I guess he did okay. They did win, so
Who did they play?
Tennessee.
I mean, they won the game. Tennessee was a playoff team last year, so
Yeah.
evidently he whatever he did, it didn't cost his team a game. He did whatever was necessary to allow his team to win the game. So kudos to him.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm not gonna knock Murray. I think he's a good athlete, and I think he's a guy that has a high ceiling who can be a good quarterback. I think he's a guy they want to develop in the same vein same mold as a Russell Wilson type short guy with a short release point to where you can't really see him, and you could those two guys, especially Wilson, he actually uses his lack of height as his advantage because his release point is so low to where you can't see where he's releasing the ball from. That's why he's such an accurate deep ball thrower. He has a quick release and it's a low release, and his launch point is low. So most of the defensive linemen, pass rushers, and people in the defensive backfield, they can't see his release point. So they can't. It's hard for them to track his ball. So when that's why he throws such a good deep ball. And that's what, and the thing, he's also hard to, when he gets out of the pocket, he's hard to bring down because he's so elusive and so slippery and so small the way he's able to squeeze in and out of spaces. So he's a guy who took something that's supposed to be a disadvantage, and not only was he able to be adequate with the size, but also he allowed his lack of size, lack of height to be to his advantage. He rarely gets hit because of his ability to squeeze in and out of tight spaces. So, I mean, Russell Wilson should be on any list where you're talking top 10 quarterbacks, whether it's week 1 or week 17 or the entire season. He needs to be on there because
I agree with it.
Yeah, because when they won the Super Bowl, that was more of the defense that won that. But in the last 2 or 3 years, they don't have nearly as good of a defense they used to have, and that team don't have the running game they used to have. That team has been carried on his shoulders. So I give credit. I don't necessarily like him, but I give him his credit.
I agree with CM, his ability to extend the plays. Yeah, he moving out the pocket.
Yeah,
being a dual threat quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the best scrambler in the league because when he scrambles, he's scrambling to throw. And the thing about it, you rarely see him. It's hard to bring him down. He's so slippery. And then lots of times when he escapes the pocket, I hate when safeties and corners do this. They get caught looking in the backfield, and then when they get caught looking in the backfield, somebody's gonna be running around wide open. Yep. To be fair, you can't expect DBs to cover that long, 8-9 seconds. But at the same time, it's frustrating when you see them get caught looking in the backfield, and usually they get exploited on the back end because of that. So, like CM said, you could say that he's the best at extending plays and the best when he's on the move.
He has a good arm too.
Big time arm.
D, what about you, man?
Yeah, I mean Russell Wilson. I mean Kyler Murray. Another person I want to mention. I know he's still probably trying to get his legs wet. I didn't think they was going to do even Atlanta like that. Was Jalen Hurts. He looked pretty good for the Eagles on Sunday. I mean, I think that's not saying he should be in the top 10, but that's another quarterback, that probably should have gotten recognition for how he played. He didn't play a bad game, I think the NFC East is going to be contingent between either Cowboys or the Eagles.
Yeah, at this point, yeah. The way it's looking.
They all suck.
Yeah, that too.
Like tonight, if you're watching that scrimmage game that's on tonight,
Nah, I'm good.
I'm not watching that crap either. Washington, Daniel Jones is terrible. I mean, he is.
I want to ask you this. Now, I know it's that, like you said, it's that name, that whatever. Do you honestly think he should have been a first round pick?
No, hell no. He wasn't even.
New York was shocked about that pick. Like when he got announced, everybody like, what in the world were they doing when they drafted him?
He wasn't even good at Duke. He didn't win many games at Duke. And he was hurt some of that time, but he wasn't. I don't even think he was that great when he was a Charlotte Christian. The only reason
Duke coach.
That's what I was getting into, and something else too. But first of all, he's a quarterback at Duke, so there's already this thing like at Duke, you're cerebral, you're smart. We already know. I beat a dead horse with this all the time, but you have that element about him being smart, cerebral, a guy who understands and processes information. You know those code words. Then when you throw the David Cutcliffe element, because he coached Peyton Manning 23 years ago, he's just almost kind of like the Adam Gase treatment. He's considered this quarterback guru. So it's like anyone who's played under Cutcliffe, they're looked at as like they have this tutelage from this great coach who has this reputation of producing great quarterbacks. And I don't know how Cutcliffe has that reputation because at his time at Duke, he hasn't had any quarterback. He hasn't had any quarterback that's had success in the NFL, and he hasn't developed any major quarterback, any quarterback that's had any NFL success or even in his whole career. Aside from Peyton Manning, he was the head coach at Ole Miss when Eli was there. And he was the offense coordinator when Peyton was at Tennessee. Aside from Peyton Manning and possibly Eli, I don't think Eli was a great quarterback, but I think he was a okay quarterback who made some timely plays at the right time and won 2 Super Bowls. But the defensive line won both of those. But nevertheless, he's still a starting quarterback and still made the necessary plays. But as far as just great quarterback, Peyton Manning's the only great quarterback that he's coached, and he's riding that reputation that he established in the late 90s from coaching Peyton Manning, and then the fact that he was Eli's head coach at Ole Miss, is that whole Manning thing to where he's getting his reputation as this great QB guru. But when you look at the track record, what QB has he produced? I about to say you have Peyton Manning, who's a great Hall of Fame quarterback. Aside from that, there's nobody else on his track record you could say, whether it was at Duke, whether it was at Tennessee, whether it was at Ole Miss. What quarterback has emerged great from his tutelage aside from Peyton Manning? And then you could argue that Peyton Manning was naturally gifted anyway. That may not have anything to do with Cutcliffe. It's one of those things where it's the same thing with quarterback. These coaches, that kind of crap happens too. Where like Adam Gase got labeled a QB guru, and we know good and darn well that Adam Gase hasn't produced anything offensively.
Hey, what?
A QB guru. Yeah, Adam Gase had when he was hired by the Dolphins, that's why they hired him. And all that was because Peyton Manning has got several coaches jobs that they didn't deserve. And I don't mean that directly, but I mean indirectly. Like when Adam Gase was the offense coordinator in Denver when Manning won that last MVP in Denver. So the fact they had like number 1 offense in the league, people was like Adam Gase was the person who produced that offense. I'm like, but when you have a quarterback like that, for example, I like Byron Leftwich. I have nothing against Byron Leftwich, but if we say that Byron Leftwich is the best offense coordinator in the league, that would be silly because you got Tom Brady there. You're not even coaching him; you're just there.
Yeah,
and nobody calls Byron Leftwich that either. So Byron Leftwich isn't being labeled as a QB guru. Yeah, Adam Gase is an idiot. So my point is, he got fired from the Dolphins, then he got hired by the Jets to coach because they wanted him with Darnold. The thing is, but he hasn't done any. Same thing with Cutcliffe. I haven't seen them produce any quarterbacks. It's like both of them are riding the coattail from when they coached Peyton Manning, and that bothers me. And guys like that continue to get jobs when it's not deserved. So no, Daniel Jones was not that good. The tape will show you that he's not good. The numbers will show you that he's not good. The win-loss record will show you that he's not good. But because he's a quarterback who fits the mold of what a traditional quarterback is supposed to be in the eyes of some people, and because he played for a coach who has this false label as a QB guru, he was drafted in the first round undeservingly, and he's showing that he wasn't worth where he was drafted. I could even argue that Daniel Jones is not even worthy of a roster spot, more or less being a starting NFL quarterback.
Shout out to the Trap House 2.0 for following through. Salute, my brother. I agree. Man, I don't see how he should even be on. He should be a starting quarterback, period.
He shouldn't even be in the league.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. Like, he is awful.
I just don't see how, again, like even that night, like what was the inkling? What was the thought process in selecting him?
So the whole thing that night, I thought was they was like well,
even,
are they gonna take Dwayne Haskins or are they gonna take Daniel Jones? That was the whole talk about who would the Giants get him.
Now, to be fair, Haskins hasn't done himself any favors. I mean, to
No,
be fair
he ain't
about it.
Uh,
What I will say is Washington did give up on him too early.
yep.
It seemed like, and I'm not knocking Ron Rivera, but it seemed like when Rivera became the head coach, he already made his mind up that he didn't want him because it seemed like at that point, the first two games last year, he didn't turn the ball over at all, and I think they may have went 1-1. Then that third game, he threw 3 interceptions, and Rivera was ranting about he got to protect the ball. He turns the ball over too much. And someone saying, yeah, look at he has 3 turnovers already, and it's only been 3 games this season. I'm like, come on, man. The 3 turnovers all came in one game. He's a rookie that had his first bad game. I said the prior 2 games up to then, he hadn't turned the ball over at all. And then they benched him after just that one game, his 3rd career start. And that you typically now, I'm just going to be frank about it. White quarterbacks who are rookies, who are first-round draft picks, don't get benched after the 3rd start. Good, bad, or mediocre. That's just there's no long-standing track record of that. And for him to get benched that soon, now granted, he did stupid stuff like being seen taking a selfie when he should have been on the field doing the kneel down stuff. So it didn't help his case. So I'm not saying that he's completely being screwed or anything like that. But at the same time, they gave up on him way too quickly and released him in the middle of his 2nd season. Whereas, granted, you could say that he may have not lived up to where he's supposed to be, but it's still early. At this point, Daniel Jones is still being given every chance that he can get and continuing to fail again and again and again. But yet, that organization still believes in him, and there's no legitimate reason and nothing that has been shown for him so far for anyone to earn trust in him.
So what I'm thinking is, I hope they're not thinking that he's the second coming to Eli or Phil Simms, because that ain't gonna happen.
Phil Simms and Eli were both just average quarterbacks. They just played on. They played on good teams, good running attack, good offensive lines, good targets. I don't take anything away from Eli. He played well when in those 2 Super Bowls. He played well and made plays when they needed him to make plays. But when you're looking at his whole body of work, he was just an average quarterback. Same thing with Phil Simms.
Astronomical numbers and things of that nature, and like touchdowns that much. Like I said, and who was Coughlin at the time, right? Yeah, Coughlin had Eli most of his career, if I ain't mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if Coughlin, he's a pretty manageable coach. So I think he just had good
game management.
And personnel, upper person or coaching to kind of help, bring his game to the forefront. I'm not saying it made him the best quarterback, but
what up, baby?
They made it work. In other words,
well, I think Kevin Gilbride was an excellent offensive coordinator. Kevin Gilbride is a very good situational play caller, good with his game management and all that. So I think when Gilbride's retired now, but when Gilbride was there as the OC, I think a lot of that helped him out. It's just like this. I never thought that he was Eli was great, and I stand by that he was an average quarterback. You could say from the time they won that last Super Bowl in 2011, he never won a playoff game after that. The remainder of his career. And that was 10 years ago.
But they kept him on the top. They kept him on the top pedestal.
And he only made the playoffs one more time after that. I'm talking about after, and that was in 2011. Only one playoff appearance after that, and he played like 2019, and only and never won another playoff game. So I'm not taking away from what he accomplished, but if he was highly inconsistent, the body of work, and if anybody considers him for the Hall of Fame, that's ridiculous. And if someone want to say, well, he got 2 Super Bowls, there's precedent for starting quarterback for Super Bowls not being in the Hall of Fame. Jim Plunkett is a 2-time Super Bowl MVP, and he's not in the Hall of Fame. So
in the Hall of Fame,
I think Eli Manning's career is similar. You could say resume-wise, it's similar to that of a Jim Plunkett, a guy who's an average quarterback but played on excellent teams and won 2 Super Bowls.
And for Phil Simms had probably the greatest defensive player God ever put on earth, Lawrence Taylor.
The reason that the entire reason the 3-4 defense exists is because of Lawrence Taylor. When they decided to put basically put a defensive end and make him a linebacker and put him on the edge, and because the 3-4, all that is just taking the defensive end and taking them off and backing them, taking them off the line.
And Lawrence Taylor is the reason why the left tackle is a highly paid offensive lineman.
Because he broke Joe Theismann's leg. So
at the end of his career, he was already on
Joe Theismann was also an average quarterback who won a Super Bowl, just average And
Yeah, average. Yeah. But
yeah,
he broke that leg that Monday
Joe
night.
Flack. Joe Flacco's an average quarterback who won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Nick Foles is a below average quarterback who won a Super Bowl. So you can't just draw the parallel and say one Super Bowl, great player. That doesn't necessarily mean that. And you can't also say didn't win a Super Bowl, not great player. Because I think I would take Dan Marino over Joe Flacco. I'll take Dan Marino over Trent Dilfer. I'll take Dan Marino over Joe Theismann. I'll take Dan Marino over Eli Manning. I'll take I'll take Dan Marino over. I think I already said Joe Flacco. I'll take him over any of those names.
I'm gonna ask you this question, and it's a simple question because you already got the answer to it. The key to being a quarterback is what?
First of all, having time in your offensive line. Are you talking about what the quarterback's supposed to do, or are you talking about the key to the quarterback being successful?
Yeah, key to the quarterback being successful.
The key to the quarterback being successful is having an offensive line that gives him time to make adequate throws. The thing about it, a quarterback doesn't have to put up super numbers to be successful. He has to and basically what he has to do is move the chains. So, for example, you can throw for 300 yards and still get beat 35-14. It's when you're making your throws. For example, on 3rd and 7, you got to hit that out route. And when you got that receiver running an out, you got to hit that to get that first down and move the chains, keep the drive going. The thing about it, you can put the thing is, let's say, for example, if it's 3rd and 20 and you completed an 18-yard pass, yeah, you're padding your stats, but you still didn't move the chains. So you're accumulating numbers, but it's not conducive to winning. The thing, your job is to move the chains, keep the drive going, and engineer touchdown scoring drives. If you have an excellent running attack and a great running game, you can ride that running back, but you at least have to make enough throws to keep the drive continue. So I think your job is to move the chains and allow your team to continue to drive so they can score touchdowns.
Right.
Yeah, and I agree with what Sid said. Not turning the ball over and putting where you can make plays. I agree with that wholeheartedly. When you give the ball to the other team, I never forget John Gruden said this at his little QB camp thing they used to do on ESPN when he was talking to Jameis Winston when Winston was at Florida State. And he was saying, young man, he said, you're going to have to cut those pick sixes down. He said, I'm going to tell you right now. He said, if you throw those pick sixes, he said, it's going to get you on the bench and it's going to get your coach fired. So said CM is absolutely correct. You can't give the ball to the other team. So I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah. To me, it's the same thing. But, when I look at how you base the work off of the work of a quarterback, well, a good quarterback is consistency. Can you have a consistency? I know you're not going to have good games all the time, but can you be consistent when the time is, needed?
And speaking of that, and I don't mean to hold you up, Darren, but there's one other point I want to make. Can you move the chains when things are off schedule? Like, for example, there's the difference between good quarterbacks and great quarterbacks, or average quarterbacks and good quarterbacks, is that average quarterbacks can make plays when everything's on schedule. So what I mean by that, 1st and 10, 2nd and 5, 3rd and 2. A quarterback can look good as long as everything's on schedule, meaning you hand it off on first down, running back picks up 5 yards. Everything's on schedule. Now it's 2nd and 5. You hand it off to him again. It's 3rd and 2, and then now you can hit a slot dig for 4 yards for a first down. Yeah, you can make plays when everything's on schedule because the running game is going and all that. So it's not like there's any pressure on you because you're in favorable situations. Like a guy like Kyle Orton, a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick, a guy like name some other average quarterbacks who keep getting jobs. A guy like Kirk Cousins. I'm just using those guys as an example.
Jake Cutler.
He was just bad. Just turned the ball over too much. A guy like Jake Plummer. Those were guys when everything's on schedule. Those guys were excellent. I mean, they can put up numbers, they can engineer touchdown scoring drives and all that. But the thing is, there are going to be times when the game breaks down. It's not going to always be 1st and 10, 2nd and 5, 3rd and 2. What about when your lineman gets a false start and now it's 1st and 15, and now you're dealing with 2nd and 11, and now you're dealing with 3rd and 9.
That play changes, it becomes different. Okay, so we're gonna do this on 1st 10. Now it's 1st and 15. Right. So now we need to change up the play.
So now you're in a situation where you're in obvious passing situations where the pass rush can come after you and you still have to be able to make the play. Whereas in the other situation where everything's on schedule, you're in a situation where you could either run it or pass it, and the defense can't necessarily predict what you're going to do. But when you're in those situations with things off schedule, everybody and their brother knows you're going to throw the football, and you still have to be able to execute. That's where you see the guys like your Ryan Fitzpatrick and the guys like your Kyle Ortons and guys like that, Case Keenum and guys like that. That's where you see them fold. But yet they get judged by what they do when everything's on schedule and continue to steal money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
I mean, it's the telltale story of the NFL with quarterbacks. Is you have this group here, you have that group there, and this one group is like a traveling band. They go here, they go there. They, like you said, they consistently get jobs each year somewhere.
Yeah, so it's like y'all take the American what they call the American Bandstand tour, and y'all on the Chitlin circuit. That's basically what they
but that and we talk about this almost every week, but it bothers me. It bothers me because it's right in front of my face. I see it every week, and then you just have people that try to blatantly act like this is not a thing and like this doesn't exist when you can clearly see it.
Yeah, you definitely can see it. Well, I did watch the I don't know if y'all watched it, but I did watch the whole thing about Cam and his situation in New England. I don't know if y'all watched it or not. Did you watch it?
I saw bits and pieces, but I didn't watch. I got distracted when he was looking like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I can't lie, but
it's kind of hard. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's the all-time greatest Panther. But like you said, it's hard to look at him and not like, what are you doing, Cam? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and this is what I'll say about that. Each day that goes by, I'm losing more and more respect for Coach Ron Rivera and his staff. Number one, they had Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's already a level beneath, but continues to get jobs. He gets hurt, he's on IR. So now they got Taylor Heineke and Kyle Allen.
His boys.
Right, but my point is Newton's supposed to be this guy too. Newton, all the success he had with Newton. We know that even if Newton's not what he was in 2015, we know he's better than that crap there.
Go ahead and say it.
Go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it.
I have family to watch this, and maybe somebody, I'm still a church boy, so I got to stay clean. That crap that they got there, you can't. We already know that Taylor Heineke is not even an NFL roster guy, and that's who they're starting tonight. And so I can understand. I can even live with before when they committed to Fitzpatrick and Ron said, "Well, Ryan Fitzpatrick's our starting quarterback. We're not looking at anybody. He's hurt for an extended amount of time. You can't tell me that you're saying, well, Taylor Heineke's my guy, and I'm confident in him. You can't. And then the third and the Kyle Allen who's behind him, that you're happy with that. That lets me know that this just looks like just that." Like a blackball effort to me. That lets me know that he's either afraid to sign him or feel like that he shouldn't or something like that. Because the thing is, he already know what he can do. The man already knows his offense. He can come in immediately and not miss a beat. He's not like he's out of shape. He was just in camp in New England. So you can't tell me, and you can't tell me that you wouldn't want to have him there and that he wouldn't be an upgrade of what you have. And now the guy that you committed to is out for an extended amount of time. He's on IR. So you can't make it logical to me that when you're sitting there with Kyle Allen or you're sitting there with Taylor Heineke as your starting quarterback, and you mean to tell me that you don't have a place for Newton, that lets me know that it's not about who gives you the best chance to win. It's also about the politics that we're gonna make sure that this guy doesn't have a job.
I'm 100% positive. I'm 100% positive that the Redskin fans are saying the same thing.
Yeah. So, to me, it seems like with Taylor Heineke out there, you're almost certain to only win 2 or 3 games sometime for the entire season, and you have an excellent defensive team that wanted to be a dark horse contender. You're coming off a division title, no matter whether it was with the losing record or not. Coming off with a division title, and would be looked at as a team that if you had adequate quarterback play that could repeat as a division champion. And you mean to tell me that you rather just go ahead and put yourself in position to lose a lot of games, and instead of signing Newton just to be a part of the trend or the bandwagon that we got to keep him out? Because to me, I'm not saying it's a concerted effort where everybody met and said keep him out, but the league is full of bandwagon and trends, and the consensus is that bandwagon is that he's not good enough anymore, and that this is it for him. And I think when that reputation gets out and gets established, nobody wants to go against the grain and go against what the bandwagon consensus trend is. And I think it's like someone wanting to be accepted by the cool kids and not go against the grain. So it's like the consensus is that that he doesn't belong. So I'm not going to go against what everybody else wants and get him. So I'd rather stick with the program and just lose games than to do what's logical and give myself a better chance to win. And I'm not saying that he will help them win. I'm saying that he gives them a better chance to win. The thing is, that anything that we're pursuing in life, whether it's career-wise, financial, whatever, we can't guarantee it's going to work, but we want to put ourselves in position to give ourselves the best chance to win. And I don't mean to cut you off, but how can he look his team in the eye, look the organization in the eye? How can he look the fans and address the fans and say, I want to do whatever it takes to give the team the best chance to win, and yet he's putting some crap like he's putting out there and not even making an effort to get someone who'd been automatic upgrade who would give them a better chance to win. That's hypocrisy, and it shows that, like I say, when you're down, you find out who your friends are. This is a man that when Newton was hurt in Carolina, he used that as an excuse for why he wasn't able to be successful anymore and why he got fired, and said, when I had a healthy quarterback, I was good. That same quarterback that he was raving about is available for him, and he has nothing at quarterback, and he's not making an effort to get him. So that lets me know that he's not. He doesn't have any power in that organization.
And see, and the thing with that is that the Redskins don't have a bad roster from what it looks. They just don't have a quarterback. That defense, minus the secondary, that defense is good.
Absolutely.
That defense is good.
They got, I mean, I ain't gonna say they got the best weapons on offense, but they got some pieces, a little bit of pieces.
Yeah, McLaurin's a good receiver in himself. He's probably their top receiver.
But run, that's like not to, beat a dead horse. I just feel like it's some bad blood between him and Run. To be honest with you, because
it's supposed to be cool.
I don't think he hold no grudge over that Super Bowl. Because let me tell you something.
He didn't coach for several years after that Super Bowl. They stayed together. They were together through 2019. That was
19 from 2015 to 2019. Really, 4 years. Really.
Yeah, and they made playoffs in 2017. Went 11-5. So,
but like that year, I don't know if it's because he felt like. But this is what I fought Run in Carolina, because if he really cared about Cam, he would have never put Cam out there knowing that he wasn't healthy.
Yep.
That's I would go back to that point. Like, if you really cared about him and wanted him to have the better chance of getting better, you should have settled that year.
In 2016, when he continued to play on that bum shoulder after he got the season was already lost at that point anyway, and played 5 games with a torn rotator cuff. That should have never happened. Nope. And it reminds me of what happened with Robert Griffin III when they knew they had a bum knee and they put him out there in the playoff game. And it comes to it because they don't care about you, especially. And I'll be frank about it, especially black quarterbacks. They certainly don't care about it. They'll run you into the ground until they can't use you anymore, and then they'll replace you just like a used car. And that's exactly how it works. And that lets you know that when these coaches say they care, especially these NFL coaches, that they know their job's on the line, and he knows that without him, my chances of winning are worse. So no matter what his condition is, I still got a chance as long as I got him out there.
My thing is, like, okay, basically, I'm looking at it like this: you'll take a no name over a former league MVP. That's how
I'm not even worried about his name. I'm talking about a no talent over a former league MVP.
Yeah,
but that
I don't care about the name. I care about what you could do. We know Taylor Heinicke was back up in Carolina under Newton, and so was Kyle Allen. We already know that Taylor Heinicke can't play. We already know that.
Yeah,
we already know that.
Exactly.
So here's the thing: in the NFL, there are 32 NFL teams. They're not 32 good starting quarterbacks. So if you're a backup or third string quarterback, that means you're not good at all. Because the thing about it, you don't even have 32 quality starters. You only have about 12 to 15. I'll say 12 to 15 good quarterbacks. That's including the great ones too. I'm talking about as far as quality. As far as quarterback, I'm talking about that's in the league right now and who is starting that you can count on. I would say there are about 12 of them that you could feel confident and count on. And people like Andy Dalton's not one of them.
I know.
Yeah, but Andy Dalton's starting.
They about to pull that trigger soon. That trigger getting ready to get pulled.
He didn't have no damn business starting in the first place with the Bears. And we saw him in Dallas last year after Dak got hurt, and they just completely plummeted with Dalton. We
Yep.
already know that Andy, but nobody's questioning whether Andy Dalton could still play or not. And yet he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. Came in the same year as Newton did. But yeah, Andy Dalton's a starter in the league, and Newton's out of the league. And you can't tell me
And Andy Dalton ain't won the MVP.
I'm not even talking about the MVP. I'm just talking about someone that gives you a chance to win ball games.
Yeah, he ain't never been that great.
And he ain't won a
Right.
playoff game, I don't think. Nope.
I know he ain't won a playoff. Man has never won a playoff. I'm not even talking about accolades right now. We're just talking about what you can do, what he gives you, and what he brings to the table. Andy Dalton, we saw how they faltered in Cincinnati and how that breakup happened. Then we saw him go to Dallas. Dak Prescott got hurt after like 3 games or something like that. He got a chance, right? He got a chance to be a starter again and started the last 13 or 12 games for the Dallas Cowboys, and they were atrocious offensively with him in there. So we know that he can't play anymore. It was with that same team that with the good offensive line that Dak was productive with, and that Dalton was not. And yet Dalton signs with a team and gets a starting gig. So you can't tell me that there's not discrimination on how quarterbacks are evaluated. The fact that Andy Dalton is a starting quarterback in the National Football League debunks any argument about there not being any discrimination on how quarterbacks are evaluated. We're talking about Andy Dalton, the guy who's at best was slightly above average in his peak, and in the last 3 or 4 years have given you nothing, and in the last, as recently as the last year, looked like he should be retired, and yet he gets a starting gig and goes and going into week 2 as a starting quarterback for an organization who also drafted a quarterback in the first round as well, and drafted a quarterback higher than New England did, and yet Andy Dalton still goes to the season as the starting quarterback. You can't tell me that Andy Dalton's worthy of being a starting quarterback in the NFL today.
No, not me.
I was surprised when I saw him in the preseason game. Like, what? You telling me you giving that man a chance over the guy that has so much potential, and you not let him get out there and get the exposure? So I mean, like you said, it's evident. It's in our face.
And even when you're talking about backup quarterbacks, Dallas had a slot where they needed a backup quarterback, and there was talk where they were considering bringing in Newton as the backup quarterback. Instead, they signed Will Grier. Give me a effing break. Will Grier should not even be on a practice squad in the National Football League. This guy hasn't shown me anything since he left the University of Florida. I know he played at West Virginia as well, but he got kicked out. He left Florida. He was at Florida first and got suspended. I remember he was at Davidson Day up here, right north of Charlotte. But he has shown absolutely zero. He hasn't even looked to be a competent NFL quarterback at all. I'm talking about to even be on a roster. And yet you signed Will Grier. You can't tell me that Will Grier is more worthy of a roster spot than Cam Newton. No matter how you feel about Cam Newton, take the weird outfits and the stupid looking hair and stuff out of it, and just go basically just based on football merit. Even Newton at his worst can give you more than Will Grier can at his best. Even
you lying about that.
Yeah, even I about to say,
that's right.
Right. Even when Newton's overthrowing receivers and the ball's sailing above their head because of his poor footwork, and he's missing guys in the end zone because he overthrew them and threw the ball too high. Even when that's happening, he still gives you a better chance than Will Grier, who's not hitting any targets at any point.
Okay, let me play devil advocate right quick with you, you guys. Now,
okay.
If we put Cam Newton on this roster, the Carolina Panther roster right now, with the weapons we got, would you think?
It's a playoff thing.
Let him finish the question.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, what do you think? What's the possibility of what you think the Panthers could be with the promising defense that we have?
I don't know about that promising part because but I'll get to that in a minute. I think we're a mediocre team. I think we're mediocre in a 16-game era, an 8-8 team. Now I guess 8-9 or something like that. I don't trust the coaching. I don't necessarily trust the defense. You can't tell me after week 1 when you win against a rookie quarterback out of BYU, who I didn't think was that great anyway, with the awful Jets team hadn't shown anything quarterback. We just picked up their quarterback from the trash pickup a few months ago and brought him down here when they were dumping the trash out. And he was awful there as well. Now they're bringing in a rookie. At BYU, they didn't play anybody last year. I watched him play against Coastal Carolina. I didn't see anything that special about him. And we already know why he was drafted in the first round as well, a guy who's unworthy. We're talking about a rookie quarterback in his debut game, and people want to brag about what the defense shut him down. I'm like, you got a guy who was raw and not even ready. I'll put it like this. When we play the Saints Sunday, you'll find out what you got.
Yeah, that's a team.
So and don't get me wrong, a win is a win. But I can't call a defense promising because they shut down a rookie quarterback who's on a god awful squad with the Jets. You already don't have a line. You already don't have any targets, and the team is awful. And you're a rookie who's underdeveloped, and they want to brag about shutting them down. That's what they were supposed to do. So I don't want to hear what they did with the Jets. I don't know about their defense being promising. I don't like what they run under Phil Snow. That 3-3-5 or that 2 whatever they run. That
3-3-5 or 3 yeah
3-5-3. Hold on, it's like 3-5-2. Anyway, it's one of them little college formations. Under Phil Snow. I don't like what
fucking zone.
yeah. I don't all that vanilla stuff. I'm not sold on it. I don't think this is a good football team at all. And I don't with Darnold or with Newton. I don't think they're a good football team. I think if Newton is healthy, he can elevate them to mediocrity, like 7-8 wins, which is something like that. But no, I don't think with Newton, and this not me knocking him. I don't think that he would just him alone will elevate them to a playoff team. I think that he would. If so, it would be like the last wild card or something like that. Because I still don't think they'll be better than the Saints. Not that I'm saying that Winston's better. I'm just talking about the overall team. I don't think they'll be better than the Buccaneers. And
so I'll say this to answer your question. Given a different coaching staff, yeah, they'll probably be a little bit better. Now, as far as playoffs, they'll make it with if they had Newton with a different coaching staff. But now with this, I'm with Tyrell. Like I've seen them winning maybe 8-9 games.
I'll say it like this: if Newton played with the Tennessee Titans, I think they're certainly a playoff team with the style.
Yeah, better than Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, because all he does is hand the ball off and still Tannehill.
Well, we think what happened. That you seen what happened with that? That shit did not work. I think Derrick Henry he didn't have 60 yards.
Yep. Yeah, people. Yeah, it's one thing. You contain the running game, then that's their offense. Tannehill's not going to make the plays to beat you. He wasn't good with the Dolphins, and people are now seeing that all you got to do is just sell out to the run, and they don't really have any receivers. I know they got an aging Julio Jones, but that guy Corey Davis. I think it's safe to say Corey Davis is a bust. Out of Western Michigan, he was the first-round draft pick. That was supposed to be a big-time target. He didn't live up to that. I'm trying to think of other situations where you could say. I thought the New England would have been a playoff team if they would have kept him. I was glad they lost to.
Yeah,
I was glad they lost to at home to Miami. I was so it makes me wonder, and I know it's just 1 week, but Asante Samuel said without Tom Brady, Belichick is just another coach. It's
being proven.
It's being proven now.
Yeah,
it's Super Bowl first year with a different team.
Yeah,
and then
you may not like that, man, but he went somewhere with nobody was thinking, oh, Tampa Bay gonna win a Super Bowl.
And won the Super Bowl. Yes, he did. And then New England missed playoffs, and they did the whole blaming on Newton thing. I'm like, if they don't make the playoffs this year, you can't put it on him because he ain't there. So
he made a good point.
I ain't gonna blame it on him because he played okay. Considering that he was out for COVID.
Hang on.
That he came out with. He made a point about that. He was saying, "You giving me a situation where I had minimum
resources
and training during the COVID pandemic, but you give me, I got the same chances as the other quarterback, as he stated, with more time, more training, and you see how I played.
Right, he played very well in the preseason.
Yeah, he did.
It wasn't like he was falsifying something he was saying or creating a facade of something that was untrue. He stated that. He stated straight facts about this last year's situation, going in trying to learn an offense.
Yep.
But and
he caught a raw deal, man. Because the thing about it, they had N'Keal Harry was their number one target last year. Then they led the league in opt-outs. They had 8 opt-outs, including 2 starting offensive linemen and 6 starters on the defense. And then he was thrown out there with that. Then the very next year they reload, they get all these weapons, do all these upgrades, and then he doesn't even get the opportunity to see what he can do with those upgrades. And then they turn it over. They turn it over to their white hope.
Yeah, great white hope. I feel like now Bill Belichick is just reaching. They keep trying to find.
But what bothers me? Then you got people like Stephen A. Smith and Lou Riddick and all those guys, all these black guys in sports media that have the audacity. And I'm not knocking Matt Jones, and I don't even think he's going to be bad. That's not the point I'm making. I think
No,
I think
he's all right.
that ain't what I'm getting at right now though. But I'm just an aside. I don't think he's gonna I don't think he's gonna be bad. And I think that he has a chance to be a solid starting NFL quarterback. At first I thought he was gonna be a bust when he first came in the league, but he shows. I think he can play. Yeah, Boston. We know about Boston. Even Bill Russell will tell you that. I think he can play. The point I'm making is that when they're saying that before New England may have been a fringe playoff team, but they're saying now that he's a starter, that makes him a Super Bowl contender. Under what logic can you say that now that a rookie quarterback is a starter, that propels a team into being a Super Bowl contender? Typically, you don't look as a rookie quarterback as being the guy who propels a team to Super Bowl contention. It's one of those things where you can say they got a good team, but if they had a veteran, they'd be better served to win now. But you got Stephen A. Smith, all these black guys in sports media going around saying that now that he's been named the starter, now they're moving them up as a Super Bowl contender when they previously didn't have them there as that. I'm like, that's ridiculous and an unrealistic expectation for you to say that a rookie quarterback is now what makes a team a Super Bowl contender. So, and we saw, he put up decent numbers, but they only got an end zone one time and only put up 16 points. So, and a lot of it is a conservative passing attack, a lot of dinking and dunking and underneath stuff as well. So you can't say that automatically they're a Super Bowl contender. Now, to me, at least I'm not saying that 2 or 3 years down the road as he develops that they can't become one, but as of now, that they've even lessened their chances of even making the playoffs. And if they don't make the playoffs, then it's going to be proven that what Asante Samuel said was right.
First off, you need to win the division because at this point, you got to pretty much win this division. You get in the playoffs, the East anyway. I feel like.
I mean, we'll see.
I mean, and this is my opinion because, I mean, we did get in the playoffs that year. We didn't win the East. It was a wild card and lost to Tennessee in the first round. That was Brady's last year.
That game, they won the division that year. That game was in New England.
What's that? Oh yeah, we did win that year. But we was like 4.
The last time that New England didn't win a division prior to last year was in 2008 when Matt Castle was there, and they still won 11-5, but they didn't win the division. And the Dolphins, the Dolphins won a division on tiebreakers and algorithms. It was like 3 teams that won 11-5, and the Patriots were the odd men out. And the Dolphins won the division that year. They were running all that Wildcat stuff at Ronnie Brown. Chad Pennington was the quarterback that year for the Dolphins because he won.
And the thing is, it's not so much of Miami I'm worried about. It's basically Buffalo. That's basically the team to beat in that division, hands down. We ain't worried about the Jets because the Jets gonna be with the Jets be for the last 15 years.
Yeah, I mean you got a game against them Sunday, so be careful saying that.
Yeah, I mean I'm gonna say it. I mean it might bite me in the ass, but
where that game gonna be played at?
I think that was in New York, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought so. Y'all not open up at home twice. Still, and for you to say you may not be worried about Jets winning the division, but even when Brady was there, the Jets always gave them tough games. Even when the Jets were bad, sometimes they would beat them. I've seen times like on those Thursday night games and stuff where they would get upset by the Jets like late in the season. So, and I've seen times where the games were really tight. Like I've seen times when Jets went 3-13, New England went 13-3. They'll go to New York and they would squeak out the game on the last second field goal, 27-25. So
I do remember that with maybe I think it was 2016 that went. Well, it was like 3 years they did that. Actually.
Yeah, but and some of those times the Jets and the Dolphins, even when Brady was there, most of New England's losses, usually when they were going 13-3, 12-4, most of the time those losses were within their division. The Jets sneak. They might go lose the game to an NFC team or something like. They might lose to a Carolina or something here and there. But I'm saying, but most of the time they would go to New York, lose a game to the Jets. They might lose a game at the Dolphins. It would be.
We always lose at Miami. It ain't never failed.
One time Miami beat them on the bandits on the field type thing, where they threw a hook and ladder and started pitching the ball all over the place and a guy busted free. That was like 2 or 3 years ago. So
the year that play Gronk can make the tackle and Kenyon Drake ran it in.
Yeah, so it's been proven that their divisional opponents have posed challenges to them in games. So it's not. I mean, they should beat the Jets, but you remember you got a rookie quarterback. So now. See, and he didn't cost him the game. I mean, Damian Harris fumbling the ball cost him the game. But my point is, when he was at Alabama, he was never, ever in a situation where a game was ever even in doubt.
You're
where a
right.
game was ever.
He's never given a
Most
situation
of
where
the
he's
time,
behind.
I don't even think he's ever even played in the fourth quarter when he was at Alabama. So my point is, he's never even been in a game where the outcome was ever even questionable or where the game was even relatively close. So he's never been put in position to where he has to put the game on his shoulders and win games, and where he has to put this on his back and say, "I got to make the plays to win the game," because he's always been in a situation where the game was over at halftime.
Yeah, because when you're up with 60-0, I mean,
And every game he was in, they were at least up like 27-0, 20. And every game that he was in, he was at least up 21-0 at halftime. I'm talking about, so my point is, you're never even in a situation where the game was ever in doubt, and for the most part, taking very minimal snaps in the fourth quarter. And so now you're in a situation where the plays you make are consequential. He's never been in the situation where the plays he had to make were consequential.
with 6 sacks killers. Oh, he said the OL with six sacks. They gave up
Yeah.
6 sacks.
See, he's never been under duress. When he was at Alabama, all he had to do was stand back there and throw that ball up to Devontae, whatever his name is.
Smith.
Yeah, all he had to do is just chuck it up Devontae Smith. He's gonna run up under it. But now he's in a situation where he's not going to be afforded that luxury. And even though he didn't play poorly Sunday, it still wasn't good enough to get the win. 16 points. Even you can look at the yards and all that stuff. I don't care about yards. We only care about you want to score more than the other opponent. Typically speaking, if you're only scoring 16 points, I know it's one game, so I'm not trying to jump to conclusions. But the point I'm making is, if you've only scored 16 points, typically in the NFL game, that's not enough. And you can have and it doesn't matter how many yards you have.
It's a good learning curve. He got his first NFL game on his belt. Now, see what you got to do with the rest of them.
If they fool around and lose to the Jets on Sunday and start 0-2, you're going to hear a lot of people rumbling about Belichick.
If they lose, they lose to the Jets Sunday, I'm not watching football until week 10.
And I'm going to go on record. I want the New England Patriots to fail. I want them to fail. I want them to fail miserably. I want Coach Belichick to fail, and I don't want them to have success. And I don't mind anyone knowing that.
I agree with you to an extent.
I know that's your squad, but
that's my
fine.
Squad. I agree with you on the point that you're getting it by. I agree with you on that point.
I want them to fail. And I hate to say this, as much as I love the Carolina Panthers, I don't really. I have. It's like I've watched. I didn't really see the game against the Jets, but I haven't really cared in the last couple of years. I haven't cared. I'm like, I don't like the way the organization's been run. It's like the organization's trying to erase the lineage and tradition and the history of the franchise. Like even now, they're no longer. And I know this doesn't really matter, but they're no longer encouraging. They're no longer doing the keep pounding thing. The fans did it on their own, but they're no longer including it as part of the traditions or whatever, the whole keep pounding thing. It's like this new regime wants to erase the entire history and put their stamp on it. And I don't like that, because that's how you alienate the fans when you do stuff like that. They've already done it on the way they handle personnel, and now they're doing it with the fans too. So when they're trying to eliminate or phase out the keep pounding phrase out of the organization's dialect, I don't like any of that. I don't like
So now what's the motivation? Like that was like the thing.
Well, it's not even about that. It's about what that meant to the fan base, and it's like you're trying to alienate a history and a lineage that the fans have connection to, just to put your own imprint on it. It's almost like it's a new sheriff in town, and I'm going to put my stamp on it, and we're going to be out with anything that had anything to do with the previous regime. And it's almost like when you get a new boss, and they just want to undermine everything that your previous boss did. Kind of in the same vein, and not to get into politics, but when Donald Trump became president, he was hell bent on eliminating anything that Barack Obama implemented, just to show that I'm in charge now, and I'm going to whether it's something I agree with or not. If he was whatever he was for, whatever he did, I'm just going to do the opposite and reverse it. And it comes off that same level of arrogance and that same level of insecurity is being shown here. And I don't like that. I don't really respect. I'm not crazy about David Tepper. Don't know much about GM, but I have zero respect for Matt Rule. I think I'll tell anybody this, and I've gone on record saying this. I think Matt Rule's a liar and a politician. And and I don't care if Matt Rule said this. Matt Rule, if somehow you see this, I think you're a lying SOB. And I frankly don't want you as an individual to be successful, because you're a liar.
Granted, I'm not a Panthers fan, but I like their fan base. Like, they got a good fan base. Considering they got a great fan base. Like,
no, we don't. We got one of the dumbest fan bases in all of humankind.
We got the most indecisive fans
No, we got
mean,
a dumb fan base. Call it like it is.
The
but
energy,
I'm
the
saying,
energy, not
but
the
what makes
intelligence.
it
The energy.
dumb? What makes it dumb is the fact that some of the stuff that they say,
It's just stupid
it doesn't make sense. Like
because there are undertones to it, Darren. You know that.
I know. I mean, I know it's like this the whole time. It's just like I'm gonna make this comparison, and I'm not trying to really be political. Just like the whole time Barack was in office, they thought of every little thing to say about Barack, what he was doing, like it was wrong. Kind of the same sense they did Cam Newton.
There we go.
Like, it's that type of mentality that some of our fans had because that man could play, have a good game, show up to the podium, and one of his outfits. That's all you're gonna hear them talk about. The man outfit, not what he did in the game. The man outfit.
So let me
Yep.
ask you this: is it wrong or is it black?
So that one more
So
time.
what?
Is it wrong or is it black?
It's well, in that case, if blackness is wrong, then it's wrong and black, or it's wrong because it's black. If you want to go there,
That's what I was just saying. I was
I
making
mean, I
it
know
simple.
it's a lot of it's the dynamic of how he carries himself, where he could
yeah,
be himself, but not be. I guess I think they really wanted him to be like the black sheep and just do bad stuff so they can really label him
yeah.
a
'Cause
problem.
they called him a thug anyway, even though in his time in Carolina, he wasn't involved in anything criminal or anything like that. But he was labeled as a thug, and I'm like, why?
He must be the nicest thug I know, cause shit, he gave out more turkeys than Nino Brown.
He
Turkeys
did,
and
and
football
he also privately would with Uptown during the winter, he would go and give blankets to the homeless and didn't record it or didn't tell anybody about it. Either people used to spot him walking up Trade and Tryon, handing out blankets to homeless people late at night and stuff. Those are things that people
Some
didn't.
thugs. That's
Yeah,
some hell of a
and
thug.
well, I want to get into and I won't even get into the word thug. Thug is in many cases, especially when it comes to the social political realm. Thug is
Florida.
a
I
cold
don't know about Florida.
Thug is a code word for something that rhymes with trigger.
My figure.
Let me say that again. Thug in this context is a code word for something that rhymes with trigger.
with the Tigers, like Tigger said on Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah,
Tiger.
Tigger with
yeah.
Tigers.
Tony the
So
Tiger.
because for example, when you see black athletes, when they say or do something, whether it's criminal, whether it's controversial, whatever the case may be, the first thing they say is, or when they get accused of something, they call the word thug is used. When Ben Roethlisberger was being investigated for sexual assault, and I'm not saying he's guilty, I'm not saying he's not guilty. Of course, he was never convicted of a crime. That's not what I'm getting at. My point was when those allegations came out about him, you didn't hear fans calling him thug. Even those that may have felt that he may have been guilty, they may have said things like oh, he should be ashamed of himself, or he's a terrible person, or he's a no good man. They may have even said things like that, or he should go to jail. They may have even said things like he should go to jail, something like that, but they never used the word thug. Colin Kaepernick's been called a thug. Nothing criminal he's done. Whether you agree or disagree with his motive or disagree with the stance he took, I'm not saying that you have to agree with what he did. I'm not saying that you have to agree with him kneeling on the flag. If you're offended by that, you have the right to be offended by that. But the thing about it, you use the word thug all because he expressed himself in the way that you disagreed with. You call Newton thug because you didn't like because he danced when he scores touchdowns. Yep. And I know Travis Kelce's not a quarterback, but like a guy like, and I like Travis Kelce, but a guy like that can dance. And the word thug doesn't use. I don't understand. I don't under. I don't understand how just someone being expressive translates into being a thug. I don't understand that. And why is the word thug so loosely and oftentimes exclusively used as a term of disdain when describing black people? But like when a white player gets accused of something criminal or something illegal or something even immoral, the term thug isn't used, and we've had situations where even like the gentleman with the Seattle Seahawks who beat up his girlfriend last year. Yeah, nobody was calling him a thug, but people like Ray Rice and Joe Mixon, and not condoning what Ray Rice did, but I'm saying, but because that was wrong. The woman married him anyway, but that was still wrong. And I shouldn't refer to it that way. I'm talking about the young lady married him in spite of that, so evidently they worked things out. But still, that was wrong, and I don't condone any of that. But the thing is, that gentleman, and I shouldn't call him gentleman, that guy with the Seahawks, when he and then he got to use the whole what mental health thing, but nobody,
Shit.
nobody called him a thug. Even we'll even take it even further. When a white assailant shoots up a public place, where it shoots up a school, shoots up a church in Charleston, shoots up a movie theater in
It's a mental
Colorado,
problem. It's a
yeah,
mental. Yeah,
shoots
it's a
up a
mental.
workplace. Well, even yes, that. But let me get to nuance of what leads to that. When they when the first thing they said is like he can't be in his right mind to do something like that. He must be. I'm like, why is that the first thing? But yet, when a black person does something malicious, you jump automatically to he's evil. Well, granted, if a black person shoots someone, shoots up a building, or if a white person shoots up a building, they're both evil. So I want to make it clear that. So I'm not saying that you should get a break because of that. My point is, when Dylan Roof, when that whole thing was being covered, even when he was, they were showing his deposition. Even you had people in the media, even black people saying he must be mentally ill. Listen to him, he's been nonsensical. And even one of my white coworkers said, he said no, he said he's just evil. And I
Yeah.
said, thank you. I was like, no, the man's just evil. He shot up a church full of innocent people because he's an evil SOB, and I hope he rots in hell for what he did. And no, he's not crazy. He knew what he was doing. My point is, why is there always a benefit of doubt in something that you an out, an excuse or an out to say that this happened because this person was dealing with something that was beyond their control, like something else was in control of them, but yet and the word thug doesn't get used. And these are specific examples of where I've given where you had people where you had cases where you're saying malicious things and the word thug wasn't used, but the word thug gets used with a black quarterback just because he dances when he scores a touchdown. That lets me know that when they use the word thug, when I say they, I'm talking about people who express these undertones. When the word thug is used in that context, it's just being used as euphemism, as a code word um, for the N word. And before anybody gets to, yeah, and oh, don't do that. The man that Mr. Curry's wife. Um, and before someone gets to making an argument about rappers or whatever, using the word or whatever, I can put it like this: you can beat up your little brother, but you're not gonna let someone else beat him up. And as far as what a community says to each other within their house is between them and what's in their house. But when you're saying something and using it deliberately as something as a put down or to take someone down, all because of who they are and under that motivation, uh, uh, to me, that's problematic, and that's something that people in the media are too scared to address because it makes them feel uncomfortable. And then when you got old suckers like Bart Scott, you got suckers like the wishy-washy guys like Stephen A. Smith, or you got guys like Lou Riddick. You got guys like Jason Whitlock, who I met and was nice to me when I met him, but still I call a spade a spade. When you got guys like that who are so eager to tear their own down just to get brownie points and help push those narratives, that also make it even more problematic because they have certain guys who are on their side just because they want to be accepted by them, who will sell out their own. You have these Judas Iscariots who want to sell the folks out, but then but you know what happened to Judas Iscariot? He later on, once he realized what was going on, he wanted to give the money back, and they were like, "Nah, too late." And then he went off and did himself in out of guilt because he knew it was wrong. That's
Yep.
a prime example of when you try to work against your own or work against someone who's on your side or someone who's your fellow brother, who's your fellow man. When you work against them for no reason, and the people that you're working with them and to appease to, you find when you find out they don't give a what about you. Now you're stuck in a situation where you want to go home, but you burnt the bridge.
I'm looking at it in this form of light, and it's probably off the whole subject, but it's not. It's technically not off the whole subject, but it's something with. I think Deion Sanders is about to make a new wave of things happen as far as the HBCU wave now, because
I
he could have
respect
went.
Deion.
He could have went to Florida State. He could have been the head coach at Florida State.
No, the hell he couldn't. No, the hell he couldn't. But go ahead.
No question. They would have hired him.
Not as it. They'd have made him the DB coach at most. No, the hell they wouldn't.
They would have hired him.
Let's debate this.
Well, they would have hired him. They would have hired him for the fact of his name.
No. We talking about Florida State. We ain't talking about Florida International.
No, I know that.
We're not talking about Florida A&M. We're talking about Florida State Seminoles. They already did their good deed when they hired Willie Taggart and they got rid of him after 20 games. They won't doing that no more. And not only with Deion has got it does, and I'm not knocking Deion. I respect Deion. I'm saying, but from the argument that will be made is that a guy that doesn't even have any major college football head coaching experience, hadn't even been not only not in major college football head coaching experience, didn't even have any major college football assistant coaching experience, and a black dude too. You really think that Florida State University was going to hire him as their head coach? If anything, they'd have put him on the staff and made him defensive backs coach and assistant head coach. And then if a coach got fired, he'd have been the interim coach for the bowl game if they were good enough to get to a bowl game. And then they would hire somebody else to be the head coach. And you know that's true. This is ACC college football. This is Power 5 college football. The jobs that black guys get are jobs like Vanderbilt, jobs like Northwestern, jobs like Rutgers, jobs like name some other sorry schools that are in big conferences. Jobs like
Northwestern.
Yeah, I said Northwestern. Name one of them schools, maybe like in Texas or something that's in the Big 12. Once upon a time, Baylor never. Yeah, they've never had a black coach one time, but a school like that, I'm saying, might would give you a chance. Or a school like Kansas, I'm talking about the Kansas Jayhawks when it comes to football. Schools like that. Florida State with pedigree, they did their good deed when they hired Willie Taggart. Speaking of that, yeah, they just like when Texas hired Charles Strong, they did their good deed. Never again. You think that Texas is going to hire Ricky Williams as their head coach or something? I'm trying to or Vince Young as their head coach? Hell no. They did their good. No, I'm being real. And Nick, you know you're like a brother to me, but I'm not letting that go. You know good and darn well that Texas would never hire Vince Young as their head coach, no matter what he's doing.
Insanity back down there.
Yeah, they would. They hired. They did their good deed when they hired Charlie Strong. That was their hey, look at us. We told you we're not like that. We hired Charlie, and Florida State did their good deed when they hired Willie Taggart, and they fired him after 20 games. He got fired in the middle of his second season. He wasn't even given a fair chance. And now we got Mike Norvell in year 2, and they just lost to effing Jacksonville State. They're 0-2 lost to Jacksonville State. Look like they're on the way to another blue season. I bet you $5 that he would not get fired in his 20th game after his 20th game, even if they have a losing season. I'm sure that he'll get his 3rd season there. I'm almost certain of it. I do not think they'll fire Mike Norvell after 2 seasons. And you want to, and I'm not going to let you mislead this audience and tell them that you really think that Deion Sanders would have had a legitimate chance at getting the head coaching job at Florida State University.
I wasn't gonna say he was gonna be a winner.
You can't win if you ain't got the job.
I'm just saying.
I think he would definitely be in talks. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have talked and they would say, well, and we hired Johnny Snow. They won't going back to back. They won't going back to back, Black, and you know that.
No.
They just something like
that.
They did their good deed. Do you think the University of Florida will hire Emmitt Smith as their head coach? No.
No. That'd be okay. They did.
Do you think no? And I'm not knocking you, man, because you're a brilliant young man, Nick. But to say that Deion Sanders could have been the head coach of Florida State, you know that he ain't have a snowball chance in hell of a number one. He's that flamboyant personality. He's kind of like that Cam Newton type personality. They wouldn't even want him. They would want him there as a spokesperson. That's just like the time when Ed Reed was interested in being the head coach at Miami. And I said, this fool really think that he ever got a chance? They did their good deed with Howard
Defensive
Reddish.
coordinator, well,
He
defensive
won't
back
even.
coach, yeah.
He'll be a defensive back coach like Dre Bly is at Carolina. And I met Dre. I go Dre Bly and I go to the same barbershop, so I see him at the barbershop sometime. Great guy, very nice guy when I met him too at the barbershop. But Dre Bly would never be the head coach of North Carolina, and nothing against Dre Bly, but that's just not going to happen. But he got a better chance than Deion being the head coach at Florida State. It's like this at Florida or Miami. Ed Reed will never be the head coach of Miami Hurricanes. If it ever happened, it would be a situation where he's the defensive backs coach, assistant head coach, and the coach gets fired in the middle of the season or late in the season, and he becomes the interim head coach just for the bowl game, and he'll coach the bowl game.
And then they fire the coach.
Exactly. So when you talking about Florida, when you talking about Miami, when you talking about Florida State, these are blue bloods of college football. This not like UNC. This ain't like UNC Charlotte, my alma mater, which I love dearly, but an up and coming program that's still on the rise, building itself up. These Florida State in football is like the Carolina Tar Heels in basketball. I'm talking about when you think of it.
Well, not this year, but yeah, I get.
I'm talking about in tradition wise. I'm talking about Florida State, Florida, Miami, Alabama. I'm talking about schools like that. USC, the real USC. School. I say that every time. Ohio State, Texas. I'm talking about traditionally Texas, Oklahoma. Schools like that. Those are your blue bloods. Schools like that, they just don't do that. And when they do, they're going to do it once and not even and fire the guy pretty quickly, and then they've done their good deed.
Okay.
But they're not doing it twice.
I agree with Wendell said in his comment right here. I definitely agree with that.
I agree with that too, and I ain't got nothing else to add to it, but I agree with you 100%.
I mean, we already know what that was about, but again,
yeah, that was more about his religious beliefs and because he openly stated his feelings about the institution of marriage, and it didn't align with one of the owners or one of the people in management with the Warriors, and shortly thereafter he was no longer a part of the organization because of the philosophical disagreement, because of their philosophical differences on the institution of marriage. And I'm not even going to get into that because I already know what I believe in. I already know what I believe in. But these days you have to be very careful even expressing what you believe in. So
yeah, it could bite you in the ass.
Yeah, because the thing about it, it's almost like we're living in a society now to where if you say that you believe in the word of God, it's almost been like it's viewed as a bad thing. It's almost like you're being treated like you're. It's almost like sometimes people are equating traditional beliefs in God's word has been looked at as synonymous with bigotry, which is not the case. The difference is a bigot can take the word and misuse it to support their bigotry, but the word itself and the belief itself is not bigotry. It's when it's misused and misguided. And but think about it, when someone has hate in their heart, they can take anything, any institution, any words, any occurrence, and use it to justify their bigotry.
And see that, and I would think about that. Man, I know it's off a different subject, but as far as schools, like I know when we were going to school. Well, when I first started school, I think I went to the it used to be the alternative school, but it was a Christian school before it became the alternative
Tabernacle Christian. Yep. I think I went there as a small kid. We probably at the same time.
I went there. Yep, I went there. But they were religious, but when I got to Central. I mean, I think it was that. I don't know. Did they pray in Central? I don't think they prayed in. They did say the prayer was legal.
Yeah, you want by the time we got in school.
He dipped out.
Yeah. I would say prayer went out of school with me. Probably 2nd, 3rd grade.
Yeah, I was about to say. I think last time I remember it was like when I was out at the Tabernacle School out there on 742.
2nd or 3rd grade is the last year we actually said a prayer at school.
Because after that, I think we just did like the Pledge of Allegiance. when I first got to Central.
Yeah, I don't.
I got,
Did they eliminate the Pledge of Allegiance too?
I don't. I think they might have.
Because of
But I
it,
know when I was from first to third grade, we said the Pledge of Allegiance every morning.
yeah.
Yep. And then when I was at the other school, we would pray at the little tabernacle school. We prayed out there. Yep.
I'm back. And we
Yeah.
pray and we pray and we pray and we
Pray
pray
every
every
day.
day, every day, every day, every day. And we pray.
Nah, but
I,
I think I know when I was at the tabernacle school, they prayed. That was a Christian school anyway, so a lot of stuff we learned out there was about.
because it's private. It's a private entity. It's a private institution. A private entity. Private entity can still have their can do that. Granted, in public school, and I'm not gonna go into a rabbit hole with this, but I don't have a problem with separation of church and state. I completely understand that and understand that in that constitutionally you have freedom of speech, press, and religion, meaning that there are going to be people who practice what I practice, people who there are going to be people who are Christian, folks who are not Christian, there are going to be people who are Muslims, people who are not Muslim, there are going to be people who are Jewish, who are not Jewish, Hinduism, Buddhism, whatever else. Then you're going to have atheists, people who don't believe anything. And from a constitutional standpoint, they have every right to do that and have every right to be comfortable and feel welcome in the environment and not discriminated against. So I'm not speaking against that. I don't have a problem with that because in my private life I can still pray to God as much as I want. So that's
Yeah.
yeah. So that's not what I was getting at. What I'm getting at is like when it comes to the people's opinions, like when people have a traditional Christian view on things like marriage, when people when I put it like this, when someone's asked a question. Now I'm not saying that I have the right to go abuse, harass, or discriminate somebody against someone because of who they love or who they're with. No, I don't have the right to do that because they have the right to be who they want to and love who they want to. However, I still have the right in my heart to believe that hey, there's a right and a wrong way from a moral standpoint, and you don't. But that doesn't mean that's not a license of me being big. That's not a license for me to be bigoted or cruel to someone. So what I'm saying is, I can let's say for example, if Mark Jackson says that he believes in traditional marriage. That's not bigoted. That's not discriminatory. That's just his personal belief, and he has every right to believe that. That doesn't mean that he's gonna try to stop someone else from being able to be who they want to be with. Now, if I'm denying someone else their rights or discriminating against them because of who they want to be with, that is bigoted. That not necessarily bigoted, but it's also discriminatory, and that's where you get into a civil rights issue. And I believe that people should have equal rights no matter who they are and whether it aligns with my personal beliefs or not. What I don't like is that if my personal beliefs don't align with those views, a person shouldn't be automatically labeled as a bigot just on the basis of because they have traditional views. That just means that they believe what they believe in. That doesn't me believing a man believing or person believing certain things from a traditional religious viewpoint doesn't mean that he hates or discriminates against someone. It's just his or her personal belief, which he is entitled to. And that person shouldn't, just like we shouldn't discriminate against someone for who they're with because they believe differently. Also, the person who has the traditional view shouldn't be discriminated against just because they have that traditional view. If everyone just it's just like if the man with the traditional view just shows respect to the person with the non-traditional view, and the person with the non-traditional view just shows respect to the person with the traditional view, and just know that we don't believe in the same things, but we can still operate peacefully as long as you're not denying anyone their rights and not discriminating against anyone's rights, and you can still coexist with having a different viewpoint.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
But now we live in such a society, and I hate to get politics again because I I'm critical of I'm critical of conservatives and critical of liberals. I'm critical of both of them. I criticize some conservatives because they use their some not all but some conservatives use conservatism to mask their hate. Some people are just people. To me, I don't think they're really conservative. They're just people full of hate, and they mask their hate and try to say that and try to mask it as conservatism. And it does an injustice to people who are like traditional conservatives who believe in fiscal conservatism and might believe in things like limited government and all things. There's nothing wrong with any of that. And but those who have those values, it does a disservice to them because you have some people who just have hate in their heart and they mask themselves as conservatives just to hide their hatred, and it does a disservice to conservatives who truly just who love their country and just have a certain viewpoint on how the country should be run from a governmental standpoint. So and I hate that. The reason I criticize some liberals is because some liberals are the most whiniest people, the most whiny people you'll ever meet. It's like if you say or do anything or say anything that they disagree with, they want to cry about it. They want to label you, and they want to have you removed from any kind of outlet to where you can voice your opinion, or where you can be seen. Like any outlet, any media outlet, or whatever, they'll get to the point where if you say something that doesn't align with their belief, it's like they want to make you believe what they believe or make you change your mind. And if you don't, we want to counsel you and have you removed from any kind of outlet to where your word can be distributed, and to where everything has to be about offending someone. Like, for example, it's almost like if someone tells a joke and it's something, anything you say, someone can find it offensive at some point. When the people who are looking for something to be offended about, where they'll take anything, dig deeply into it, find something and say, hey, that was offensive to whoever, and then try to get you canceled or removed for it. That's what I criticize a lot of liberals for, because some liberals are so whiny to where they want to make you align. They want to make you align whatever view it is with theirs, and don't want you to say anything that could potentially insult anybody, or take anything that you say and find a way to make it about insulting someone when it may not have anything to do with that at all. And that's why some liberals are just whiny, and especially when I see it in sports, like Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner. He's a liberal appeaser. He's a liberal appeaser. The minute somebody whines about something, he jumps right on it and makes changes and implement it just because somebody whined about it. On the flip side, Roger Goodell is a conservative appeaser. He's a guy that wants to kind of take things back to the old guard, and I'm going to show these boys that they better be thankful and grateful that I'm letting them play, and they better do what I say, or if they don't, I'm going to take them to the woodshed. So that's amazing. Like when the NBA is a liberal appeasing league, and the NFL is a conservative appeasing league. When I don't think either league should be either. Either league should just be. Either league should just be their leagues. Come to be their leagues and be about their business.
Agreed.
Now, and one other thing I want to clarify when it comes to appeasement. Now, don't get me wrong. When it comes to things like human rights and all that, I don't believe that human rights is a liberal or conservative issue. That's a right and wrong by people issue. I have no problem with any league or any institution saying that we stand with human rights, whatever that may be, whether it comes to discrimination, whether it comes to social justice, whatever else. I have no problem with someone saying that, hey, I stand by and support human decency, and I stand and speaking against the mistreatment of a fellow human being for whatever reason. I don't have a problem with that. What I don't like is when an agenda gets pushed by either league, whether it's a liberal agenda or conservative agenda, when that shouldn't be the case. It shouldn't be any kind of organizational political agenda being pushed. If when a league is speaking on something or advocating something, I'm fine with it being about human decency, about the rights of humans, and about and human decency. But it shouldn't be a point to where you're trying to appease, and when you're trying to appease a group or appease someone just because they got upset because somebody said something.
We live in such a PC world now. It's sad. Nobody can take the truth. Nobody can handle the joke. It's just it's pitiful.
Yeah, now I understand some of it. Like when we go to work, we can't go to work and say some sexually suggestive joke to a woman.
Like just in general, minus the sexual stuff. Just like something that's like it may be funny to me.
So something that's common speak. Like for example, let's say anybody listening to the show that's dark skinned, like chime in. I'm gonna say something and just so you can get the gist of what I'm saying. Let's say if a guy's a boxer and he's dark skinned and they're having when someone's saying like, who do you think might end up being the world heavyweight champion next year, and I might say that Johnny Darkskin. I think that he's a dark horse candidate uh, to win it. Someone might say like, "Oh, you're making a dark skin. You're trying to that was an offensive term. This." I'm sitting there like, but the point is, dark horse is a common speak term when it comes in sports. And I know that's kind of an off example, but I'm just using that. But some people will take something like that, or even we'll
Mm-hmm.
go back. Or even we'll go back to the Cam Newton thing when he and Mac Jones were there, and he jokingly called them mac and cheese, and then Bart Scott going to say that he was body shaming him, and that was even most people, black or white, thought that Bart Scott was being ridiculous on that. But he was so eager to tear the other black man down to where he came up with some crap like that because he was just too anxious to do it, thinking he was going to get brownie points. And the people he thought he was going to get brownie points at him looked at him like he was stupid and said that was dumb. The point
It
I'm
was.
making is the point I'm making is you could take something that simple. Dang it! I want you to see me when I say this. You could take something that simple and make it about offending someone when that's something that's just ingest and silly and had nothing to do with anybody's body or body shaming anybody. That's the kind of stuff. Uh, I'll give another example. There's a common political joke where it said you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. I remember Obama used that, which is what Democrats and Republicans have used that joke. Basically, what they're saying is what that means is you could take something and try to dress it up in disguise, but it still is what it is. Like
Yeah.
if you could take a
Yeah.
bunch, you could take a bunch of crap and try to dress it up, it's still a bunch of crap. It's basically what it means. So when it says you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig, meaning you can't hide whatever it is actually is. So he said that just at a rally one time, wasn't talking about anyone intention and wasn't talking about anyone, any person or in particular. He was just talking about his ideology and how he felt about some of the things that are going on, and say, hey, someone could tell you one thing, but no matter, but so hey, yeah, the people on the other side are saying this is this, but hey, you can put lipstick on a pig. Guess what? It's still a pig. Like if something's not true, you could dress up whatever, but it's still a lie. There was a coalition of people who tried to say that he was being sexist against Sarah Palin by calling her a pig, and I'm like, that is and that is one of the most common. That is such a common old political term, the lipstick on a pig, an idiom that's been used for years, at well before that election. And I'm not trying to do Democrat versus Republican here. I'm just talking about how people could take something that's clearly common speak and take it and find a way to be offended by it simply. And a lot of people do it because they don't know the history of a lot of terminology. They don't know a lot of oral history, so a linguistic history. So phonetic history, whatever term you want to use. So you got a lot of people who hear something and want to make something out of something without even knowing the history or where it's derived from, and try to make it something that's insulting. So that's problematic.
Yeah, that is. But I just think, some things, that are said that and to us, I don't some things I hear are not super offensive, but people think it's like really offensive. But it's just the way that you answer to it. Like, somebody say something, you
Okay,
know,
I'll give another example. You remember when people wanted to boycott H&M because they had the picture with the black kid in the hoodie that said "cutest monkey in the jungle." Now the problem I have is H&M should have. They know that if you're going to market it in the United States, that's tone deaf.
mm,
I don't think that they sat there and said that we want to piss off a lot of black people and insult them. I don't think that was their intention. I honestly think that was tone deafness, but it was viewed as like, oh, H&M is racist, and they're trying to say that black people are monkeys. I don't think that's what. Granted, they shouldn't have put him on there with that on there, so that was stupid. I want to make that clear. And another thing, when you know that in the United States, the term when you're dealing, you don't ever use the term monkey with anything that's affiliated with black people because that's an insult.
mm,
But at the time, but I don't think their intention was insult. You got to realize that's not an American company. That's that was out there in Britain. The kid's mother agreed to let him do it, and they got paid to do it, and she wasn't offended by it. That's one of those things where they shouldn't have done it. It was tone deaf, but I don't think it should have been as big of a deal as it was. It wasn't like I said, if they really were, the point I was trying to make, I was saying, do you really think that they would have, knowing how society reacts to things and knowing the repercussions of cancel culture and all that? I said, do you really think that they were trying to openly insult black people by they would actually put it on their website, calling insinuating that black people are monkeys, knowing how the public reaction would. I said, do you really think they purposely did that with that in mind? I'm like, come on now, they know that could potentially ruin their business. So you know that it's unlikely that was a deliberate, purposeful thing with the intention of hurting anybody. It's just that somebody who was there in the office should have realized that, hey, this could come off this way and this could be tone deaf. But the point I'm making is that any little thing, anything could be taken and making a big deal out of.
You're right about that.
That was tone deaf though, and they shouldn't. Somebody should have caught that before that ever went on there and should have said that, hey, maybe. And another thing about it, I think that whole thing is an idiom from some other country, or maybe I don't know if it's a Jewish idiom. I know the whole monkey, and it's not me saying anything bad about anybody Jewish. I'm talking about terminologies and sayings that are used. Just like the term monkey, a lot of times. I know Howard Cosell, when the late Howard Cosell, who was Jewish, and I know within, I think, his family dynamic in the conversation, when there was like a baby, you know how someone said this cute little baby, they would often like say about their own babies, like, oh, he's a cute little monkey. I'm saying those are that. So you could, in some cultures, that's common speak and a common idiom. What they should have realized is that in the United States and in the modern vernacular, that wouldn't be received well when a young black boy is being used for the imagery and at the forefront of it being used as the focal point of an advertisement. And that's where the mistake was made, where it was tone deaf. But just on the merit alone, if you look at the history of the term, that is an idiom that is used in some cultures that's common speak, that's not considered offensive at all. It's where they lost the plot is the lack of awareness to know that in the modern day vernacular in the United States, where they're marketing that too, that wouldn't go over well. So that's the clarification I want to make on that.
Gotcha. I would say it's week 2 in the NFL. I ain't got my schedule. I've had my schedule with me. I don't know what I did with it. I was gonna go over a couple games.
I got you right here.
Oh, you got me? All right.
Go to the NFL.
We'll go over a couple games. Just a little foreshadowing to going into this Sunday. We already know the Thursday, the preseason game is going on right now.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah.
What's the score to that game, Darren?
10-6 Giants.
Good. I want the football team to lose.
They got the ball going into about to be the 2-minute warning for the second half. Washington got the ball, so
Taylor Heineke gonna have to drink a couple of Heinekens after this game.
Yeah,
good drink up north, baby. Good drink.
But,
good drink.
Sunday. 49 Eagles, 1:00 game. Raiders Steelers, another 1:00 game. Of course, the Saints and Panthers, Cowboys and Chargers, 4:00 game. Got the Bengals and Bears. A game that the media was blowing up today for some odd reason.
The Bengals, because Andy Dalton's returning to Cincinnati or something.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
I'm taking Cincinnati by a touchdown.
Yeah,
I don't even care. But go ahead.
So, yeah, that was it. Like, really, that's all y'all could talk about. Bills and Dolphins. That might be a good matchup.
That's pretty good one.
Yeah, division game too.
Yeah. Broncos, Jaguars, Patriots, Jets. Patriots lost.
I think that Patriots Jets game gonna be a nail biter.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be.
It'll be a close one up to the 4th.
Well, we know that's gonna probably be magnified too because of
two rookies in there,
new quarterbacks, drafted quarterbacks.
I think that'd be like a 20-17 type game.
Yeah. Rams, Colts.
That would be a good one. Somewhat.
Texans and Browns.
That'd be a good one.
Oh, good. And then speaking of Texans, I'm glad that people do give him a shot.
Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
So I think I'm not saying
I'm sorry.
He's
okay
enough to continue to get a starting job. I mean, he's always kind of caught the rough end of the stick in certain situations on teams.
He got
But
screwed with the Chargers.
Not saying he's a starter quarterback. I'm not saying that, but he's definitely a backup quarterback.
He's like a bridge. He could be a starter like as a bridge quarterback.
Yeah.
He's okay. He's all right. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and be like, oh, he's to get that dude. He's all right. But what I'll say is you're right about the rough end of the stick with the Chargers. He was a starting quarterback. Their doctor is the one who injured him, punctured his lung, and then he subsequently lost his job. And then Anthony Lynn, you still got fired anyway. You're thinking you're gonna make some people happy, and you still got fired anyway. You thought you're gonna be loved for that. You still got fired. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, that's why I said with him. I'm glad he does continue to get a shot. Buccaneers, Falcons, another massacre probably.
Blowout.
Cardinals, Vikings. That might be a good one. Well, I like to see Kyle Murray play. I think that's going to be pretty good. Tennessee and Seahawks. That might be another interesting.
That's going to probably be a blowout.
Seahawks. I don't know if Derrick Henry can get going, because if you run right at Seattle's defense, you might keep Wilson off the field.
Yeah. Chiefs and Ravens. We'll see how that goes. You know, it depends who show up.
Ravens gotta get the people back.
Yeah, because they got the injury bug bad this year.
Yeah.
I don't know what they got going on. 3 running backs, ACLs. No, one of them had Achilles tear, I think.
Who did they sign? I forgot they signed somebody.
They signed Devontae Freeman.
Yeah, that's right.
And
that ain't bad. That's not bad, Devontae Freeman.
Yeah.
The issue that I worry about is the cornerbacks being hurt. Not the you can plug running backs in there. You can plug running backs in a dime a dozen. You can't plug in somebody at cornerback just be like, we're good.
Yeah, that's a different.
And playing against Kansas City, you don't want to be down cornerbacks playing against Kansas City.
Oh no, not with Tyree Hill on the
field. You do not want Pro Bowl corners. You don't want starting corners, and you don't want to be missing DBs when you're playing against the Chiefs.
God no, that's a deep threat all day.
And the biggest showdown in the Midwest from time to time is Lions Packers.
Well,
that's a joke.
I mean, Rodgers still rusted from missing camp, so. Where's the game going to be played at?
Green Bay.
He should win.
Sure.
They got 11. They got 11-point
spread on that. Yeah. I don't think they're beating by that much, but I think they'll win.
Yeah,
I think they're beating by.
That's a Monday night game at that. Chiefs and Ravens. The primetime Sunday night game for Chiefs and Ravens, and Monday night game is the Lions and Packers.
Sounds like
I think the games I'm interested in this week is, of course, New England and the Jets. I want to see Carolina go against the Saints. I do want to see that one. I feel like that was going to be the question mark that you were saying earlier.
Yeah, I think that's going to be it's going to be both ends, really. You know, I don't think we can block. I don't think we can block their defense front. That's what scares me.
Their defense still. The truth.
I think Cam Jordan is he playing? Is he hurt or he's there?
Playing. I think he's
okay. I was about to say we've always struggled to block him.
Mm-hmm. He's always been he's always the one that gives us the most trouble each time we play the defense. Cam, when he was here, a lot of
Cam. If Cam Jordan is available, that's he gives us trouble.
Yeah.
I think
we only scored 19 against the Jets or whatever. It's going to take more than 19 points to beat the Saints.
Oh yeah, you got to at least score 27. I'm saying
you can't kick field goals against them, and now we're down to our third kicker in the last 3 weeks.
That's another
third.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Dang.
We had Harrison. That hindsight is 2020 thing really shows up when you look at Harrison Butker making Pro Bowls with the Chiefs, and we had him. And then let him go
on the practice squad. Didn't sign him.
And then and then you kept Graham Ganova, then decided to get rid of him later. Then you brought in Joey Sly. He can't even make extra points. Get rid of him, bring in the guy you had last week. Get rid of him, and now you don't want to be searching for kickers during the season.
Nah,
you lose a lot of games under 3 points.
I bet the Panthers organization right now are kicking themselves for how they've handled the kicker.
Oh, yeah. That's probably
kicking the nuts.
Yeah, and that's kind of a poor decision right there. I don't get that one. I even said it even whenever he was in preseason that year. I said they better keep him put him on a roster just for he's kicking off, not necessarily.
for kickoff special. Yeah.
Yeah,
They better sign Ray Finkel then.
I don't even know who that is.
Ray Finkel. He's an Ace Ventura joke.
It's been so many years since I've seen Ace Ventura. When I think of Finkel, I think of Howard Finkel, and I know you know who Howard Finkel was.
The Ray Finkel, the kicker from the Dolphins that kidnapped Diane Marino on the movie.
Oh my god!
He was dressed up as a woman.
Hey, careful with that these days.
Yeah.
So it's before you might, yeah. I don't want someone saying, "Oh, they said bad things about their culturally controversial." I'm just trying to look out for all of us.
Yeah, I got to watch what I say.
Just looking out for all of us, man. Unless you're at a position where you don't have to work anymore and you got money like that, you better watch what you say.
Yeah, I got to watch what I say. Definitely.
Yeah, I still have to work every day too.
We're talking about a movie though. Just remember, it's a movie.
Yeah, it's a movie. This came out back in 94.
It wasn't that old. It was like 98 or something like that. 97 or something like that.
No, this is the first one. The first one like 94.
Okay, so I'm thinking about the Pet Detective one then, I think.
That's the second one when he went to Africa, I think maybe.
Yeah, that's the second one is that in Africa when Nature Calls. The first one was just Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
So the When Nature Calls, is that the one that came out in 98, the When Nature Calls one?
Yeah, when he was in Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was a sequel. Okay.
Yeah. Rumors a third one coming out.
Really? Just leave it. Jim Carrey got too old, now just leave it alone. Stuff wasn't that good, no way. Just leave it alone.
I thought Jim Carrey, he's a funny comedian.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, all right.
He's a funny comedian.
Yeah, all right.
He's good.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
I can watch more than Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart's overrated though, but still,
yeah.
Laugh at my pain was I watched that when it came out in theaters. I'm not saying it was like here's how I feel about Kevin Hart. I'm not talking about movies. I'm talking about stand up.
Which one was that one?
It came out like in 2014, 13, 14, something like that. Yeah, it was okay. It's just the thing about it. But when a guy's hyped as much as he is, okay isn't good enough for me. Like when it comes to Kevin Hart and stand up, I just think he's okay. But I don't see. I'll take of that era because Cat Williams' era was like right before from like Kevin Hart's era was from like 2010 through like 2016 or something like that. Cat Williams' era was like from 2005, 2006 to 2010, 11. So my point
I got to put Mike Epps in there too, then, because
I'm not knocking Mike Epps, but I'm talking about, but just comparing I was talking about with Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart in his peak era was considered like the biggest stand-up comedian, at least, especially when it comes to black comedy. Whereas in just a few years prior, Cat Williams was considered the biggest star in that realm. So what the comparison or the contrast I'm trying to draw is that I thought Cat Williams actually was much funnier and was more consistently funny, whereas I think Kevin Hart is not nearly as funny as type to be, and I never got the hoopla. I think with Kevin Hart, it's just that he was at that time. It was just determined that he was going to be crowned to be the next one, and then whatever he did was just going to be deemed as hilarious. And I just
active.
Yeah, and I just think it was more of it was just already just determined that he was going to be crowned the next one. But I always thought the Cat Williams was better than Kevin Hart, and I don't even think it's that close.
Yeah. But I don't know why they got him like all time great, because I've seen a lot of people saying he's like all time great, but I was like,
nah, that's recency bias. That's because he's a big fish in a little pond. It's like he's the biggest guy and the biggest star. Dang, I keep falling. Excuse me. Now my chair got a loose screw in it. Anyway, he's I'm gonna do this leaning right now until I finish my point. He's the guy that's considered the top guy now, but he's a top guy in a small field. That's just like when you think of Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. They're big, and I'm not knocking Tyson Fury, and I'm not knocking Deontay Wilder, but the heavyweight division of boxing has been scarce since like the Lennox Lewis era. You basically had an entire decade where the Klitschko's dominated that era, where most of the world heavyweight title bouts were fought overseas and not here in the United States, and subsequently the division was pretty much dead because of it. So when you compare a Deontay Wilder in his era to the era of a Mike Tyson, or if you compare it to the era even of a Lennox Lewis, whatever, it's not comparable because during that time those guys had more competition to fight.
Right,
Whereas with in this era now, those guys basically just had each other to fight, and that's just it. So they're the top guys in their division, but it's not really. What is that really saying? Man, this seat completely broken.
I feel bad for Evander Holyfield. I don't know why he was out here trying to reach like he was the other night.
I mean,
ain't he broke now?
Yeah, he got beat up too.
Dang, I
wouldn't risk the goddamn. I mean, no, let me say it this way. I just feel like that wasn't a good move in his situation.
Nah.
At his age.
He didn't even have a chance. That fight didn't even go one round, did it?
No. I don't
think that fight didn't go one round.
I mean, I think it's more for health reason, and that's why I'm saying it. You know, taking a blow like that, man, that's you know, and also you gotta think years of taking blows.
I
guess he thought he could do what Tyson did, but that's a little bit different.
Yeah, those guys like that just need to stop.
I mean, it's nothing against somebody, like I said, you know, knocking what somebody do. He seemed to be in pretty good shape. Let me say that. But
yeah, that's it.
In the ring and trying to do it, that's a different animal, man. And your body can't take those.
That's that ring rush.
Yeah, your body can't take those hits like when you're 30 and 20 and 30. I mean, you 60-year-old man taking powerful hits. I think he was 40 something. The guy who was fighting, he was in his
I think my man he was a UFC fighter, wasn't
he? Yeah, he was like early 40s. So I mean, he still got a little zip in him. So
as far when Tyson was doing it, you know, that's a different. You know, granted he's 50, but he was throwing some haymakers on Roy Jones.
Yeah. And I think
Roy was like, I'm hurting.
Roy even stepped in the ring for anything else after that.
Yeah, no, because he knew I can't do this no more.
You gotta realize Roy
him like that.
You gotta realize Roy was in a situation where he was doing matches at the Cabrera Sports Arena in Concord just a couple years ago. So he's well past his heyday.
Yeah.
You know, those guys, they made enough money where they shouldn't have to do crap like this.
Yeah, well, Mike's still making money. You know, I know Mike ain't hurting for no money.
He ain't as rich as he used to be though. This guy once upon a time was worth like $400 million. Now he's worth like $5 million or something like that. But
I don't know. I ain't checked it lately, but I know he got that little cannabis business now.
Well, that's a lucrative. That's a lucrative industry.
Yeah, a lot of people getting into it.
Yeah, some of those guys that's on the black market on the streets, they might want to do that, and that way they can do it the legal way and even make more money off of it because they can make the money work for them. And
yes, there's some people I didn't realize from back home to get into it.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are. Don't let the public know. Because they will find a way to mess those folks up.
That's all I'm saying. They can go no further.
Yeah,
don't look any further.
Yeah, stop sign right there.
Don't look any further.
Yeah, I mean, I think I give it 5 years in North Carolina, if not even that.
Once they realize they can get medical. Yeah, they're gonna pass other too because they want to get that tax revenue off of it.
Oh yeah, that's going. You got to think. I wouldn't be surprised North Carolina turned back into kind of the cash cow they were with tobacco with this industry.
I think that's a great point. That could be the new tobacco.
It's gonna be. It's eventually gonna happen because I mean,
Cannabis Road instead of Tobacco Road.
Yeah.
The inevitable is they
Time
see
low.
they see these other states that's already in it and how much revenue they getting back every year from it.
Yep.
They getting a lot, like Colorado,
Yeah, Colorado.
California. I
That
think
climate is
DC.
perfect for that type of
Stay
plant.
in there work.
Virginia legal now.
Jesus,
I thought is it illegal, fully legal?
Yeah, it's fully recreational in Virginia. It's still federally illegal, but you know,
yeah, but you talking state by state. Yeah.
state level is legal.
Okay. I know DC legal.
Yeah, DC legal. They fully recreational.
Yeah.
I think Colorado's fully recreational. California
Nevada,
been fully recreational.
New York, Detroit. I don't know if it's Detroit. I know
East-
Michigan.
Michigan, I think they just medical right now.
New York, big city of dreams.
New York could be, well, you know, New York that'd be another one.
I think New York legal now. I ain't mistaken.
I had no idea.
I don't know if they fully legal. I just know California and Colorado, the two that's like they fully recreational. It's just whatever.
Nevada, I think.
Las Vegas,
Yeah, Nevada's in Nevada.
Nevada.
yeah, Nevada, yeah,
Well, you know Nevada's legal. There's a lot of other things legal in Nevada too.
Yeah.
yep. Yeah, prostitution is fairly legal.
Yeah, Nevada's been legal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how long they've been legal.
You talking about what, the weed or the prostitution?
Well, I know the prostitution been there. Ain't
Yeah.
no question about that. That's been there. That ain't the question. I'm talking
That's
about
something, yeah.
the weed.
But that's their industry too.
Yeah, Lamar Odom found that out.
He was at the Boston.
He was at
Yeah.
an all for all. He was
Yeah,
in a
Moonlight.
Royal
Yeah, that man died. The man
tent.
Dennis,
He was in a Royal Rumble of
yeah.
Can't breathe.
Yeah, I'm glad he survived. That'd been a horrible way to go out.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Who would ever thought Lamar Odom be living and Kobe Bryant would be dead?
Yeah.
Listen, when I heard Lamar Odom eating chocolate in bed, that's what I was like, damn, Lamar Odom's from crack. He said he was in bed eating chocolate. I said, why are you in bed eating chocolate? That's kind of cracky.
Yeah, and you were right.
Cracky.
You guessed it.
You guessed it.
You were right. You were right.
The fact that he smokes crack bothers me. Like, it's like
I'm sure it does, Nick. It probably bothers his family too, Nick.
yeah, it probably does. Like, it bothers me. Like, I never looked at Lamar and was like, yeah, that guy's gonna be on crack one day.
I think a lot of people that don't just look at him when their baby is holding the baby, like, oh, look at our sweet baby. One day he'll do crack.
Yeah. Look at him. So precious.
Look at my little bit. He gonna do crack one day. My little fat Joey crack.
He gonna be smoking that pookie.
Every black family has a pookie. We got one in my family. We got a pookie. Every black family has somebody named Pookie.
Do we? Nah, we ain't got no pookie. Do we?
Maybe you can make one of your children a pookie.
Leave that be. We ain't gonna have no pookies. No pookies.
Y'all too good for pookies? Y'all too good for pookies? You think you're better than other families, huh?
Nah, we just don't need no pookies.
What you got against pookies, huh? Think you're too good?
No, not too good. I don't think we need pookies.
Why not? It's a tradition.
Yeah, it's a tradition. It is.
You uppity people.
Well, I mean, you know,
I'm just messing with you, man.
It's a different tradition, though. You know, I think different, like then, like, because it was a new wave. So I guess a lot of people was like, "Hey, man, let's get fucked up."
Differences.
Most of the crack and shit.
My whole life has changed.
But we ain't gonna get into that though.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep that out there.
We're getting out of that pookie talk. That's a sign that we're running out of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we probably are. We at the hour and 58-minute mark. We got the closing remarks.
All right, let me get my picture back up. So when I close out. God, never mind. This chair gonna have to get fixed tomorrow. Let me rise back up.
All right, the floor is yours, big dog.
Once again, it's always an honor to be here. Happy to be here. Happy to be amongst you all. Happy to communicate with you. Still making the best out of every day. Had a wonderful time on family vacation earlier this week. Just a reminder to cherish these moments and cherish our time. Again, let's continue to be happy. Let's continue not to focus on the negatives that's going on. Let's focus on the things that make us happy and find the best way to live through life circumstances.
All right. The flow is yours.
As usual, enjoy the show. Great topic tonight. Just want everyone to know that healing is part of what is going to help us in the long run. But everybody's a lot going on, so just continue to pray for everyone. Love everyone, and just be thankful for where you are right now, regardless of what situation you're in. Just be thankful. Keep the man above number one.
And let me go ahead and let me bring the boat back into the harbor. Get that close up right now. Yo, appreciate everybody for coming through tonight, man. Just want to say, man, I'm extremely blessed. I had a scary week this week, man, but everything's good now. Just happy that everything came out the way it should. Let me tell y'all something, man. It's a scary situation, bro. There ain't nothing to play with. When they think you got that vid, and tell you, boy, it had your heart going 120 miles a minute. But I'm happy, I'm blessed, I'm thankful, But my message is everybody needs to stay safe, social distancing, do all the right things you need to do in order to survive this pandemic that we are in. Because honestly, they claim it's getting better, but honestly, I see it is getting worse. But it is what it is. We rely on our government to give us hope. Hope these nuts. Anyway, again,
my hope is built on God.
Yeah, my hope is on God. Forget the government; they can hope these nuts. But
my hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood. Go ahead.
I will be live on the Trap House 2.0. I will be in a sneaker battle, so if y'all want to come over there and check it out, I will be at the Trap House 2.0 tomorrow at I think it's 10 o'clock. It's a sneaker battle. I will be going against somebody, so shout out to Yante for even giving me an invite to the battle. So shout out to them over there. Y'all go sub up to them. I got their channel in the description below. But definitely, y'all come check them out tomorrow at 10. I will be over there with them. So that's all I got to say. And again, fellas, it's been real. Trilling the veal.
Yes,
As
sir.
Lil Kiki says, we're gonna bounce and turn.
I
to the
chunk
next
up
episode.
the deuce for the south and the north. You remember that song with Lil Kiki?
Yeah.
I that bounce and turn. Everybody know that bounce and turn.
Ran some 84 spokes.
Swing in the swing to the left.
Listen,
Pop.
I seen a real swanger. It's been about a month ago. And I was like, dang, that's the coolest little car I ever seen in my life.
You pop it.
They're from Texas.
Tearing up the lane, yeah.
Yeah, Trump popped up and everything. Lights. No, I was like, this is a real Texas swanger. It was a dude from Texas. He was at the gas station. I had to look at the car. I was like, that's pretty cool. He was tipping. He had Vogues on that too. Elbows.
Still tipping on 4 foes. Wrapped in 4 Vogues.
Yeah, them elbows.
All right, man.
Y'all. I appreciate y'all, man. We'll catch y'all next week. And salutes to everybody. Love y'all. We out here.
All right.
Yeah.
Peace, love.
Peace, love.
And God.